When people see a Mario game, they know they're getting a Mario game. Same with Street Fighter or Battlefield or StarCraft or whatever, what you see is what you get. But with Ghost Recon Wildlands, I've noticed that everyone seems to have a slightly different view of what this game is all about and what it's going to be like to play it. So in this video, I'll be making it extremely clear exactly what type of game Ghost Recon Wildlands is and giving my impression of it based upon my recent hands-on experience at Ubisoft HQ. Stick around. Ghost Recon is the latest entry in the acclaimed tactical shooter series. I must say I was a huge fan of the original Ghost Recon released way back in 2001. Back then it was a much more military sim kind of game, trying to be a lot more realistic than a lot of other stuff on the market. And as the years have gone on, the series has evolved to be a lot less realistic and a lot more focused on straight up action enabled by advanced technology. So what's the deal with Wildlands then? Well, first up, where the other entries in the series were mission based, this one is actually fully open world, and I mean that literally. Like, the beginning of the game drops you in the Bolivian jungle, and after that it's your job to begin tearing down the local drug cartel, which has grown so large that it's practically its own small military. How you do that, the order that you do it, is very, very much up to you. Now, one thing that the game certainly gets right is this open world element. The map is utterly huge. I don't have the specifics of the map size, but I can say that it feels like something on the scale of GTA or Skyrim. It's massive, and you're not going to feel like there isn't a lot of territory to explore. The various towns and outposts littered throughout are really well designed and make for a really interesting detour in the moments when you choose to explore them. One minute you're in a quaint mountainside town, and the next minute you're in a heavily fortified base, and none of it feels out of place because of the way that the world has been laid out and populated. People who enjoy sort of wandering around these big open worlds are likely to really appreciate this aspect of it. So what are you doing on this big map then? Well, basically, like a lot of other open world games, you're essentially grinding your way through the story missions, collecting loot and experience as you go, and then you can also choose to take on literally hundreds of optional side quests at any point in time in order to gain more experience or unlock information about other parts of the map or find weapon upgrades. It's certainly not a new formula, but it will appeal to those who enjoy a completionist style of play, ticking off the boxes of tasks completed, skills unlocked, and weapon parts collected. The typical mission structure is actually really simple. Get an assignment by accessing it in your menu, and a voice will then brief you on it. Head to the objective by some means and then complete the job, either by stealthily taking down your opponents or by a full frontal assault. It's very much up to you in this regard. And of course, you have 3 squad mates with you at all times that you can command in interesting ways, or your friends can drop in and you can play co-op, which is really how the game is meant to be played, but we'll get to that later. As you progress through the missions, you're aiming to increase the strength of your character by gaining experience, which unlocks stats and unique skills like an explosive drone or more accurate sniper fire or whatever. You're also collecting weapon parts, which will be used to update your weapons and make them more effective. And that's pretty much it, to be honest with you. That is the game. There are higher difficulty levels available as well, and we're told that on the highest difficulty level, a single bullet can kill you, which, to be honest with you, is pretty great because this is actually when Ghost Recon is at its best. There's no PvP game mode yet, and I don't know if there will be or not. The developers are being very tight-lipped around this. They're literally not talking about it at all. So perhaps they're going to announce some sort of PvP game mode closer to launch, or perhaps they might announce it later on as potential DLC. For now though, know that there is no PvP game mode confirmed for Ghost Recon Wildlands. So now that you know what the game actually is, I think we can start talking about impressions. Now before I begin, I'll let you know that I've played about 12 hours of the game in total across 3 separate occasions, and I've played the latest build for about 5 hours, which is pretty close to a release build given the fact that the game comes out in about a month's time. I've unlocked all the weapons and all the mods for all the weapons, I've unlocked all the skills, so I've seen what full endgame character progression looks like, and I've also completed about a dozen missions with a mix of both story missions and side missions. So yes, I've definitely played me some Ghost Recon Wildlands. With that, let's get on with the impressions. Well, first of all, from the get-go, I can guess that a number of you are going to be quite disappointed with how I've just described the game. I've heard a lot of people saying stuff like Ghost Recon Wildlands will kill the Division, but if you understood what Ghost Recon was, you'd know that it's a completely different game from the Division, so this this is actually a little bit of a silly statement. The Division is intended to be played forever because it's an MMORPG and that's how they're meant to be done. But Ghost Recon is a single player or co-op tactical shooter. It has a set number of missions to complete and things to collect, and when you're done with those, you're done with the game, or at least until extra DLC adds additional content. For a lot of people, this sucks and they want this kind of endless grind throughout a game, but that's not what I want. I like my Ghost Recon experiences to be carefully curated and finite. I don't want an endless MMO Ghost Recon. I want this style of Ghost Recon with a clear ending point, but I know some of you out there don't agree. The big question mark is, of course, whether or not there's going to be a PvP mode added to the game. Obviously, that's going to increase its longevity in a big way, but we are still literally waiting to hear whether or not that's going to happen. Now, the biggest question, of course, is whether or not this game is good, and I think the best way to answer that, the most honest answer I can give, is to say that I personally enjoyed it, but I know that a lot of people out there will not. So why is that? Well, first up, let's talk visuals. The game looks good, but it doesn't look great. Now, to lay all my cards out on the table, I don't give a shit about graphics. Like, literally, they are the last thing I care about when it comes to a game. I don't care at all. It's nice when a game looks great, but most of the best looking games ever made have actually been pretty average games, while literally the most played games on Steam charts today all have pretty average visuals. In my view, graphics don't mean anything, but I know that a lot of people don't agree, and they want their game to look amazing while they play it. Now, if you're one of these people, that's totally fine, but I think you're going to find Ghost Recon Wildlands a fairly bland affair, since the game engine has prioritized the gigantic open world functioning properly all at once with no frame drops, rather than the textures you're seeing looking amazing. The word downgrade gets thrown around a lot when it comes to Ghost Recon, and unquestionably, the game does not look as good as when we first saw the release trailer a few years back, but like I said, I really don't care so long as the game actually plays well. Now, I've got to say I enjoyed the gunplay, but I think some people it's going to take some getting used to for them, particularly people who play the Division or Destiny, where they expect bullet sponge enemies and they really get to feel the recoil of their weapon over a long pattern of fire. You don't get that here. It's a real sort of tactical shooter. Stuff dies fast, so you don't have that same relationship with your weapon. There's also this awkward transition that occurs between the third-person and first-person perspectives, and it's just long enough to really interrupt the flow of gunplay. Now, I can't say that I ever got used to it, however, you can just toggle it to remain in the third-person view if you prefer, which I ended up doing sometimes. One of the other interesting quirks in the gunplay is the amount of bullet drop and the speed of a bullet's travel when using a sniper rifle. I've obviously played plenty of shooters and plenty of them do have bullet drop, but I can tell you playing it in this game is a very different experience. It can be really satisfying to land a headshot. It feels really good when you see that bullet slowly traveling, but it does take some practice to get used to that very unique and distinct Ghost Recon path. The driving can also be a little bit weird. Sometimes the physics feel really normal, while other times it feels like your car's kind of on rails, completely stuck to the road like glue. It seems to change at fairly unpredictable times as well, so perhaps it's just bugged for the current build, and it could be improved closer to release. So one aspect I really didn't enjoy was the story and the dialogue. It just feels kind of really weird and forced. The Division did a good job of making people sound like people, but here the NPCs and the characters you're playing with sound like kind of robots. Yeah, it's not really what I play this game for, but if you're looking for a really deep story that's well written, probably not going to find it here.
Congratulations. Thanks to you, La Santera's world has been fucked raw.
So like any other game, it isn't perfect, but do you know what? I actually really like this game, and I'm super pumped for it to come out very soon. So how could I like this game given I've just listed so many complaints? Well, first of all, I don't really care about all the stuff that I just complained about. Most good games, most games that I love are fairly imperfect, and I've always just been the sort of person that's focused on the positives of an experience rather than the negatives, and there's actually plenty of good stuff going on in Ghost Recon Wildlands that I really enjoyed. First of all, the scale and size of the map is just awesome. There's a lot of content packed into that world map, and I really enjoyed just sort of exploring it, stumbling upon random NPCs and events, and just having a good time romping around the map. Within that map, the thing that I appreciate most is how each of the encounters encounters, be they story missions or side quests, allow you to complete them on your terms. Approach by car or on foot or in a helicopter, go in guns blazing or stealth your whole way through, speak to the critical NPC to collect map intel, or just rush through killing everyone. Every new checkpoint is its own puzzle to solve, so long as you have the patience to solve it or the skill to survive the gunfire of an entire camp of enemies shooting at you. I really like the weapon modding and RPG elements as well. They're actually really well done and create meaningful differences in your playstyle and approach as you continue to level up, all while sort of encouraging you to get out and explore the world to get the experience and the supplies you need to be able to purchase these upgrades. The core of the game, though, is a co-op experience, and I think this will probably be the biggest determining factor in how much fun you have with Ghost Recon Wildlands. See, you can solo the whole game, and commanding your party to behave in a certain way actually works really well, especially the awesome sync shot ability, which allows you to line up 3 targets for your squad to instantly headshot the minute you give the order. But the best moments in the game come when you're playing with friends and you're coordinating with other actual people. This is when you really feel like a tactical Ghost Recon squad member, and it's the moment when you really feel like you're getting a truly rewarding experience. Now look, if I was to really crudely put this game in a box, I'd say it was kind of like Metal Gear Solid meets Far Cry. Or even more crudely, I'd say it was just third-person squad-based Far Cry, since the open world, mission structure, and side quest-based nature of it all line up really well with what Far Cry fans are used to. But it's nothing like The Division, so banish that comparison from your mind. And it's really not much like other Ghost Recon games either. It's its own unique, interesting, fun, rewarding, but unpolished experience. If you can get a group of friends together to play and you can look past all of the imperfections, you're actually really going to enjoy Ghost Recon, which is exactly what I did. But if you're looking for anything other than exactly what I have described in the earlier parts of this video, or if you're someone that's going to get hung up on some of the technical flaws of the game that you're likely to encounter, then there's a good chance that you are going to be let down. But who knows? We've only seen a slice of it, and there could be a whole lot more out there that the devs are holding back. However, I'm feeling pretty confident that the experience that I've seen in the latest build is what we can expect the game to look like when it comes out on launch day. As I said, I really enjoyed it. I'm actually super looking forward to it. I love Tom Clancy games. I love Ghost Recon specifically, and I think the game takes some big risks that largely work and create a kind of single player or co-op experience that I'm really looking forward to, especially in the context of the Tom Clancy Ghost Recon universe. But I'd be really keen to hear your views in the comments below. Is what I've said what you were expecting? Are you more or less hyped now? Do you have any additional questions that you want me to answer in future videos? Because I do plan to make plenty more content on Ghost Recon. I actually do read all of your comments, by the way, so post down below and let me know what you think, and I'll do my very best to get back to them over my coverage. So guys, I really hope you liked this video. I tried to give it a really honest and hype-free assessment, so if you found it useful and it gives you a better idea of what the game's all about, then do drop the video a like, and if you're a Ghost Recon fan, be sure to subscribe. As I said, I loved it. I'm keen for it. I'm going to be making content for it. So if you want to see Ghost Recon videos, then be sure to subscribe, because I'm going to be putting out plenty of them in the lead up to launch and of course after the game is in our hot hands. For now guys, thanks very much for watching. Take good care and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.